we were reviewing photosynthesis, and we did not watch this video. We were going to review with this video.
Most of the energy harvested from organic molecules during glycolysis and the Krebs cycle is stored in NADH. NADH and FADH2 molecules give up their high-energy electrons in the third phase of cellular respiration, electron transport and ATP synthase, where most of the cell's ATP fuel is produced. The electron transport chain is an array of molecules, mostly proteins, built into the inner membrane of the mitochondrion. NADH gives up its high-energy electrons to the first complex in the electron transport chain. The electrons move from one end of the chain to the next, giving up their energy as they are pulled from NADH toward oxygen. The energy given up by the flow of electrons is used to pump hydrogen ions from the mitochondrial matrix into the intermembrane space. Oxygen captures the electrons in the very last step in electron transport. The last complex adds a pair of electrons to an oxygen atom and two hydrogen ions, forming water. The electron transport chain has used the energy of moving electrons to pump hydrogen ions into the intermembrane space. This buildup of hydrogen ions, like water behind a dam, stores the potential energy that was originally in the bonds of glucose molecules. The backed-up hydrogen ions give up their energy when they diffuse through a special protein complex in the membrane called ATP synthase. As hydrogen ions flow down their concentration gradient, ATP synthase captures their energy to make ATP. Under normal conditions, almost all the ATP produced in the process of cellular respiration is manufactured by the energy that electron transport provides to ATP synthase. About 34 ATP.
Okay. It kind of cuts off rather abruptly. Alright, so by the time the cellular respiration process is done, you get about 36 ATP overall. So as we recognize, carbohydrates are things that are broken down pretty quickly and pretty efficiently, but we can use other things as well. It's not just carbohydrates that can be put into the cellular respiration process. We can use fats also and proteins, but carbohydrates are usually the best, and they can be broken down pretty, almost completely. So other things instead of glucose can be used for energy. Fats are a good one as well. So here's a fatty acid, and the difference here is that they skip steps. So for instance, fats are going to probably skip the glycolysis stage and usually go right into the acetyl-CoA, or they might go straight into the Krebs cycle, or they could even go straight to the electron transport chain. And so a lot of times triglycerides go into the glycolysis or the Krebs cycle, depending on what kind of fat it is. Like the glycerol heads might go straight into the glycolysis cycle, and the fatty acid tails are going to go into the Krebs cycle. So it gets kind of broken up, and the different pieces go into different parts of it.
Is it Krebs cycle or Krebs cycle?
Krebs.
Why does that say Krebs?
I don't know.
Krebs.
Krebs was probably the guy that discovered it. So it's a possessive. He discovered it, so it belongs to him because he discovered it.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I won't count off for either way. I don't count off for spelling anyway.
Krebs or Krebs cycle?
You can look it up to find out for sure. If you really know. I think it can be either, depending on
the Krebs cycle or the Krebs cycle.
But this just says and Krebs cycle.
So the Krebs with an S.
I might have also put it on there wrong.
Yeah. Imagine if this was the funniest word.
I think it sounded like hydraulic. Just like.
It's kind formation of new glucose. The carbon backbone, because they do have that carbon in the center of the protein, the amino acids can be converted into acetyl-CoA, so they will get put into that step, often bypassing the glycolysis process and going right into acetyl-CoA, and then they will get put into the citric acid cycle, and from there go into the electron transport chain. I really like this picture. I think it does a good job of explaining how everything divides out and where a lot of the ATP is. So here is a fatty acid, and the tails and the head. It explains like the food products, the fats, carbohydrates, and the proteins. The fats, the tails get put into the Krebs. Look at that one. This one has an S. Krebs cycle. And the glycerol heads get put into glycolysis, and from there it gets broken down into the different parts. Carbohydrates usually go straight to glycolysis, but the proteins can be inserted into many different places. So it can be the pyruvates, the acetyl-CoA, or into the Krebs cycle. So each one can be broken down into different places and inserted into different parts. That was from last time. Sorry, don't get off that easy. All right, so minerals. They're the only group of nutrients that are inorganic, and our body does need them. Usually a healthy diet can provide all the vitamins and minerals you need without supplements. So if you're eating the right kinds of foods and eating like a variety of fruits and vegetables, then you usually don't have to take supplementary vitamins. There are exceptions to this. Obviously, if an individual is pregnant, then they're going to need a supplemental vitamin just to meet all the needs that the body is demanding. But for the most part, healthy individuals don't need supplements. Now, elderly people who are, maybe if they're very sick or if they have low bone density or something like that, they'll probably going to need, extra vitamins and stuff. Now, will it hurt to take a vitamin? Most likely not. You could choke on them. Yeah. Sometimes vitamins upset an individual's stomach. There's gummy ones now, but the gummy ones, you have to pay attention that they might not have everything you need. So when my children were little, sometimes they were anemic and had low iron. And you can buy the gummy ones that taste better, but the gummy ones don't have iron in them usually. And so the Flintstone ones do have iron, but sometimes you don't like the flavor of the Flintstone. So there's a lot of things to consider. Minerals make up 3 to 5% of the body. Calcium is a huge one, makes up about 1/2 of the body's minerals. and phosphorus makes up about 1/4. Now, calcium and phosphorus often go hand in hand, and they make up a huge portion of the body content. Phosphorus and calcium are stored in the bones, and we have a lot of bones, and so that's why it makes up so much of our body content. Calcium especially is a big deal, again, for pregnant and nursing mothers, because the baby is going to take a lot of that calcium. And if the baby doesn't get the nutrients that it needs, like the mother doesn't have enough extra, it will literally leach away the mother's calcium. So I always had bad teeth, but I didn't have super bad teeth until after my pregnancies, and that's when my teeth started getting really bad. And that's a pretty common incident for people who've had children. Blame my kids for all my cavities. They leached my calcium away.
Have you ever gotten a cavity filled, Evan? Never gotten a cavity?
My children all have cavities. So see, it's genetic too. Like my children brush their teeth and stuff, but in fact, next Monday I have 2 kids going to the dentist to have cavities filled, and my other 2 have a significant amount of cavities.
Nobody told me about that huge needle they were about to stick in my gums.
They
I'm
numb it
still
with bad tasting stuff, but it still hurts.
Well, they didn't let me sit with mine for like a while, so I didn't even feel it. I was just like, yo.
Yeah.
I
Here,
started
let's
moving,
come
so
with
I was
this
like,
gun to stab you with it, to inject you.
Yeah, and then they needed to keep like giving me more. They just gave me like one more injection because I kept like wincing because I could still kind of feel like it when I got close to my nerve or something.
And then sometimes it numbs it all the way up to your eyeball.
Yes,
All the way up to your,
my whole
You know,
like
I have.
Experienced
I
this?
have. It's just I can't think about
my
that.
whole like this side of my mouth was just so numb, and when I would touch it, it felt weird because it felt like huge and rubbery. But then I'd like look in the mirror and I was like, nope, that's just my chin.
yeah. Your like nose gets numb. I've had so many feelings. I've had like 5 root canals.
I had my cousin like shoot me like with a gun. My uncle's my dentist, so my cousin works there, so.
Well, that's a little convenient. All right, so minerals are divided into 2 groups: minerals. Wow, that came out wrong. Minerals and micro minerals or trace minerals. And your assignment that you're going to do is going to be on micro minerals. The macro ones are required in large amounts in the diet, and the micro ones are required in small amounts in the diet. So there are 2 different kinds, and it's just based on how much your body needs. But just because the micro ones are needed in smaller amounts doesn't mean they're any less important. It is a fine balancing act though, because some minerals you need, but you don't want to overdo it either, because you could actually get poisoning from it. Like fluoride, for instance, they put fluoride in water, there's fluoride in toothpaste. But if you get too much fluoride, you could get very, very sick from
Is
it.
that why you're supposed to spit out your toothpaste?
But they actually say that you are supposed to spit out your toothpaste, but you're not supposed to rinse out your mouth.
Because then it just like all the brushing and stuff, like what's left over, you just got rid of it. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really do much.
You're supposed to brush, you're supposed to spit out as much as you can, but you're supposed to let it sit on your teeth afterwards and not rinse it out. Probably would have been helpful for me to learn that when I wasn't an adult and my teeth were already gone. Now I get to use the fancy toothpaste. It's high fluoride. But other things like iron too, like if iron supplements for anemia, but if you have too much iron, you could get iron poisoning. And lead, of course. Lead poisoning. Good effort. So here's a list some macro minerals, and here are some lists of micro minerals. There are 9 essential micro or smaller quantity minerals: cobalt, copper, fluorine, iron, iodine, magnesium, molybdenum, and selenium and zinc. And there are 7 essential macro minerals: calcium, chlorine, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, and sulfur.
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 Where do I get sulfur from? Oh yeah. Because I make your parts.
Good observation. So mineral functions. Oops. Bone health, blood health, fluid balance, energy metabolism, and antioxidants. So we need it for a variety of things. Bone health is a big one. Blood health, to keep our blood balance. I mean, think of iron, and we need there's hemoglobin, which is in the blood, and it's we kind of covered it a little bit in anatomy, but you have heme groups, Heme, heme groups, that are on your red blood cells, and iron works with the heme groups to attach oxygen. If there is not enough iron, then heme groups cannot hold the oxygen. And that's why if you are anemic, they often say, well, increase your iron intake. And at the blood drive on Thursday, they always check your iron levels. And if your iron levels are too low, then you can't donate because for one, your blood is more watery and it bleeds faster, but you also will get dizzier, easier, things like that. So that is a macro mineral. Was it a macro mineral? Or was it a mine?
Iron was micro.
I think it was a mine. Yeah. Micro. Yeah. I had backwards.
My dad said he almost died when he tried to give blood, like, the last time he tried.
Really?
Like, he just totally, like, blacked out.
Mm.
So I'm glad he didn't, and he's not gonna donate, like, probably ever again. And I'm also not gonna donate.
Some people have bad experiences. Need to go back and get all of the. I hate it when it does this, and I realize I don't have it set up to do that. I like it to all come on the screen at the same time. Minerals for bone health: calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus, and fluoride a little bit, but the main things are calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. That's what's going to make bones grow really well. Minerals for blood health: iron, zinc, and copper. But iron is in smaller quantities, and that's why you have to be careful with iron. It's an important balance. If you have too much iron, it will cause constipation for one thing, and also an upset stomach for another thing. So taking iron supplements is fine, but a lot of doctors recommend it's called a slow release iron, where it will release really slowly in your digestive system, so your body can absorb it not all at once, but kind of at, over time, over several hours, instead of just all dissolving at once. Alright, so minerals for fluid balance is sodium, potassium, and chloride, and then minerals for energy is sulfur, iodine, and chromium, and then antioxidants. Antioxidants are a little different. The thing with that is oxygen is, I think I've explained this before, but oxygen is a reactant that causes not necessarily good things to happen. We've learned to use oxygen for cellular respiration as a acceptor for electrons to make water, and that's why we breathe it in. It's kind of the last electron acceptor in cellular respiration, and so we've learned to utilize it for good. But oxygen in general is a kind of a disruptive element. When oxygen first came into the atmosphere, it caused a lot of problems. It killed a lot of organisms. I mean, think about how in a fire, oxygen is needed for a fire to burn. It causes reactions to occur. I mean, there's a whole oxidation reduction reaction. So oxygen is really kind of a messy element, causing a lot of problems. So if we have extra oxygen just kind of floating around in our bodies, that's not being put to use for cellular respiration, it can cause issues. Now, antioxidants are materials that counteract those, that neutralize them. And so having different materials in our body that counteract those free oxygens are going to really be helpful to us to balance it out. So blueberries are something that have good antioxidants. A lot of other fruits and vegetables have good antioxidants. So you may have heard, oh, this has antioxidants in it. Oh, antioxidants are good for your health. Well, it's true. And it's because they are counteracting those free oxygens that are just kind of hanging out in your body that are causing reactions to occur that we don't really want to occur. So selenium is one of them, works with vitamin E. Sorry, I didn't realize there was one more. That's why I don't like the single clicks. You need to go in and fix that. I'll do it right after notes. I don't like them.
So why do you feel so soft?
Maybe that means it'll be super sweet. Because usually the hard ones are sour.
It better be sweet.
Or what?
Oh, I'm not gonna enjoy it.
So here are some examples. Approximate amount in an adult. Calcium, of course, there's a lot. Same with phosphorus and potassium. But when we get down to manganese, it's milligrams. So all these are grams. And then when we get down here to these, it's milligrams. So calcium is most abundant mineral in the body, about 2% of the body weight. And when you're considering an adult human, that's a significant amount of body weight. And of course, it's the structure in bones and teeth, which is why it's such an abundant mineral. And 99% of total body calcium is present in the teeth and bones. It's as crystals called hydroxyapatite.
Hydroxyapatite.
There you go, that's better than mine. 1% of the total body calcium is ionized form and is an important part of physiological activity. There's a lot of calcium that is necessary for how muscles work. We will see that when we get to muscle activity and the movement of muscles. Calcium must be present for muscles to move. Calcium is also necessary for nerves to work. So, movement of muscles, nerve signal transmission, all of that requires calcium.
Can I use the restroom?
Mm-hmm.
was good.
It was good?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I burnt my mouth on my food yesterday at Chili's, which sucked. So
Did the
that was
acid
really-
hurt your mouth then?
What?
Did the acid from the orange hurt your mouth?
No, it just feels really weird. I burnt my tongue.
Mouth heals surprisingly fast though. Alright, so the functions of calcium, bones and teeth, calcifying of course, blood clotting as an activator. It aids with the blood clotting formation and tells it that it needs to get started. Maintenance of the heartbeat, so when your heart is beating, calcium kind of signals that it needs to continue to beat. Important nerve transmission, as I was saying, like I said, it helps with nerve transmission and also muscle contraction, so I kind of got ahead of myself there. Calcium is important for both of those. When the nerve signal is actually transmitting down the neuron, calcium is necessary for that. Also with muscle contraction, it signals the muscle to contract and passes on that signal to the nerve, to the muscle. And it's without calcium, we'll get into this, but there's a part of the muscle that gets covered up, and the muscle can't contract when that part is covered up. But when calcium is present, it becomes uncovered. And then everything can function within the muscle. So you have to have calcium for your muscles to contract. If calcium is not there, the muscle will not contract because there's a portion that gets covered up. It'll make more sense when we get to the muscles. But calcium is needed for that. So if you do not have enough calcium in your body, your muscles are not going to contract. And then of course it is used in several enzymes as well. So calcium is kind of important. Okay, so calcium serves as a bank from which the blood can borrow and return calcium, skeleton serves as a bank. So if the body needs more, it will draw it from the skeleton, or it can put it back into the skeleton too. So keeping enough calcium in the skeleton is super important. And our hormones regulate this. The parathyroid hormone and calcitonin is the calcium lowering hormone. So there's two hormones that are really important with this, the parathyroid and the calcitonin. They're going to help like adjust the calcium levels. See, finally, they like thought of a good name, calcitonin. I mean, that's a good name for something that regulates calcium, calcitonin. Somebody finally did their job right, scientists.
I heard the word
that's fair. Most people don't. Stop. So recommendations for calcium. During adolescence, you're recommended, that's not a minus, that's a dash. So for adolescents, your guys' age, 1,300 milligrams per day. Between the ages of 19 and 50, 1,000 milligrams per day, unless, of course, pregnant, and then pregnant is more. Over the age of 50, you up that because bones start to get brittle, and then it's 1,800 milligrams per day. And that's because, why can't I think of the name of the bone disease where you lose bone? What is it? Osteoporosis. There you go. Thank you. Osteoporosis. Osteoporosis, you start to lose bone and it starts to degenerate, and having more calcium in your diet helps to prevent that. Also, just exercising in general really helps to prevent bone loss. So, but you guys need more because you are growing and your bones are growing as well, and so you need more to help with your bone growth.
Pretty sure I do not get that much calcium every day.
Most people don't.
Well, milk. Courtney probably does. Courtney drinks like a glass of milk every single day.
And good for you.
It's chocolate.
I love chocolate milk.
I swear, I've never seen him write anything down.
Not too fast.
He just writes like just the red part or something. But then I always end up making the study guide, so it doesn't even matter what he does.
Hey, I help.
I use Izzy's, but not like I use a mixture of Izzy. This is mine.
The drawing of an adolescent is kind of, oh no, it's a woman, ages 19 to 49. Thought it was a little interesting. I think that's supposed to be a beard, but it looks like a chin strap or something.
It does.
So if you have abnormal calcium levels, it could lead to, it could be due to, not lead to, could be due to parathyroid disease, kidney disease, or inadequate vitamin D levels.
What is kidney disease?
Kidney disease is an overarching term for lots of things that are messed up with the kidney, or it could be cysts in the kidney, it could be a tumor on the kidney, it could be a smaller kidney, it could be something wrong with the filtration of the kidney, all of the above, any of the above. Yeah, it's just a term that they give for something's wrong with your kidneys.
I should totally learn to sew, and then just sew my orange and goes back together.
They're weird.
That's an interesting reason to learn to sew.
I saw it in the movie and I was like, I wish I knew how to do that. That's a terrifying movie. I'm never watching it.
What was it?
Oh, it's called Lily's Not For Me.
Okay,
Sounds like it wasn't for you either.
fair point. We may stop here. I mean, I want to see how much is left, because I think we may, yeah, there's a lot left. We may stop at phosphorus, and, yeah, we'll stop at phosphorus for today. We'll stop here, and we'll pick back up here tomorrow, and I'll give you your assignment for now. Your assignment is on micronutrients.